why I'm as much a projectionist as I am a filmmaker. Apart from being a lawyer, I have to go to court all the time. but I spend a lot of time showing these films because there is no ready-made mechanism in India to show these films. On the net is okay, but on the net is a good idea in the future, but as yet in India very few people have computers. I mean, only the elite have computers, so internet access and all that for long format films. I mean, what you find on YouTube is usually very short films. So some of my short films I've already put on YouTube.
But it's important for the young generation.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find out, I'm trying to, eventually I will have free streaming on my website so that people can watch the films, and I might put a PayPal button for those who want to contribute if they feel like it, but it's not necessary to contribute to watch it. So that's my future, one of the future projects is to make the films accessible.
But I've heard the films have been screened all over India, and that not a day goes by almost without the films being screened all over India. Yeah. And in fact, Jai Bhim Comrade's premiere was in Bombay. In the, I was just saying that the films, as far as I have known from knowing your work for many years, that the films are constantly shown in India and constantly shown in kind of. Not in cinemas, in kind of public spaces as well. So Jai Bhim Comrade, for instance, was shown in Ramabai, was it, am I pronouncing?
Colony, yeah.
The Ramabai Colony, from where the whole story comes out of that place. And the premiere of the film was there, shown there, and there was 2,000 to 3,000 people standing and watching it, which puts Western audiences to shame if they consider such an incredible detailed masterpiece, 3 hours to be such a long film that they get exhausted by or something. I mean, the people are standing and watching this film, and actually what's incredible about the film, which people will see, is that you see people watching events. I'd actually say that's a continuous thread in Anand's work, is watching people watching, which gives also another layer to the subject.
Yeah, it's true, especially. I mean, various of my films have been used widely within quotation marks. I say they are. You're right that they are shown every day somewhere. There are already hundreds, if not thousands, of DVDs that people have, and I spend a lot of my. I mean, in a week, I would say at least 2 or 3 screenings happen. Two screenings on an average, which are public screenings. And we have our own projector. Even when I was shooting 16mm, we had our own 16mm projector, and we would carry our big reels and set them up and show them. And now that it's video, it's easier. And we just put up big bed sheets as a screen and show the films anywhere, wherever there's electricity. But India's population is huge. I would say that I don't think that I've reached even 0.01% of the population, even doing so many screenings all the time. So really, if you want to make a political difference, it has to be on TV. And that's why we've been fighting tooth and nail to get the films shown on TV. I mean, the TV experience of watching is different from, obviously, when we show it and we are there and we have discussions afterwards. All that can't happen on TV. It's just a passive medium. But even a passive medium is very useful for a film like this, where it will shake people up in terms of their ideas about these issues. So we keep fighting for that, and sometimes we succeed to get on national TV.
Merci. Je crois qu'on doit quitter la salle, donc on va remercier beaucoup Anand et Christophe pour votre...
Bienvenue à cette séance donc, consacrée au travail d'Anand Patwardhan. Merci beaucoup de venir un dimanche soir tard pour un long film sur des sujets complexes. Voilà, ça dit bien la motivation des spectateurs du cinéma du réel. Donc on explore, grâce à Anand Patwardhan, les lignes de tension contemporaines les plus violentes qui règnent en Inde, mais aussi au-delà de l'Inde, en Asie du Sud-Est. Et là, avec War and Peace, donc un film réalisé par Anand en 2002, on a peut-être son film qui est le plus, en quelque sorte, explicitement internationaliste, parce que personnellement je pense que les conflits locaux que nous décrivent ces autres films voilà, peuvent servir souvent de modèle explicatif aussi, ou de grille de lecture pour d'autres situations. C'est très facilement transposable, là, pour ce qui concerne par exemple le fanatisme ou les problèmes de patriarchie, etc. Ici, voilà, le monde est exploré vraiment est parcouru de manière géopolitique, explicitement. Et donc Anand a beaucoup travaillé sur ce film pendant 4 ans, et je lui laisse donc le soin de nous le présenter, voilà, de sa manière si claire, visuelle. Merci beaucoup, Anand.
So this film was started because in May 1998, India did nuclear tests.
Ce film a commencé parce qu'en mai 1998, l'Inde a commencé à faire des tests.
I don't know if you might remember that in 1996 there was a comprehensive test ban treaty which long ago India had championed, a test ban so that there would be no more nuclear tests anywhere in the world. And after more than a majority of the countries in the world had signed this CTBT, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, suddenly in 1996 India refused to sign it, even though it had been one of the original authors.
Oui, je ne sais pas si vous vous souvenez, mais en 1996, l'Inde a refusé de ratifier le traité contre les armements, les essais nucléaires. Mais au début, le pays avait assisté à la rédaction de ce traité.
Perhaps they were inspired by France, because France had done the same thing. They had done nuclear tests in Mururoa in New Zealand at the time when the world was stopping to do nuclear tests.
Et je ne sais pas s'ils ont suivi l'exemple de la France. Si vous vous souvenez, la France a commencé à faire des tests nucléaires ou continuer à Mururoa en Nouvelle-Zélande, juste au moment où on essayait de appliquer ce traité.
So when India did nuclear tests in May 1998, we saw suddenly on the streets of India people celebrating the fact that we had become a superpower.
Et donc en mai 1998, on a tout d'un coup vu exploser dans la rue une joie de la part de la population du fait que l'Inde était devenue une superpuissance.
Along with many other activists, I was totally depressed by the sight, and we started to do small protests against the nuclear bomb.
Et avec d'autres militants, on était vraiment très doutés à cette réaction, donc on a monté plusieurs petites protestations contre la bombe.
I also started filming both the madness in the street with the celebrations, but also the beginnings of the anti-nuclear movement.
Donc j'ai commencé à filmer en même temps cette folie de célébration dans la rue, mais aussi la naissance, du mouvement antinucléaire.
Even before the nuclear tests, by the way, 2 weeks after the Indian nuclear tests, Pakistan also did nuclear tests to match India's.
Oui, à propos, 2 semaines après les essais nucléaires de l'Inde, le Pakistan a fait de même pour se mettre à la hauteur de l'Inde.
And so began a nuclear arms race in the region.
Donc a commencé à ce moment-là une course aux armements nucléaires régionales.
Even before these nuclear tests, I was part of a peace movement between India and Pakistan. We tried to build people-to-people relations between the two countries, although our governments had always, since independence, had either done a hot war or a cold war.
Et en fait, avant les essais nucléaires, je faisais partie d'un mouvement pro-paix qui continuait. On essayait de développer des liens entre personnes, en même temps que les deux gouvernements s'engageaient depuis l'indépendance, soit dans une guerre froide et dans une guerre chaude.
After both countries did nuclear tests, it became even more necessary to build peace, and so we tried to exchange visits between peace activists of India and Pakistan.
Et une fois les essais nucléaires lancés des deux côtés, on a essayé de renforcer ces échanges, ces visites antinucléaires entre le Pakistan et l'Inde.
And in 1999, I got my first chance to visit Pakistan as part of a peace delegation of citizens.
Et en 1999, j'ai eu la première occasion s'est présentée pour que j'aille avec le mouvement pour la paix, un mouvement citoyen pour la paix au Pakistan.
I took my small camera, which was like an amateur camera, which looked like any tourist camera, and I was able to cross the border with the camera.
Et j'ai pris ma caméra qui avait l'air d'une petite caméra de tourisme, donc j'ai pu franchir la frontière avec ça.
So I ended up filming in India and Pakistan both, and then one other thing happened soon after the nuclear tests is that the Japanese survivors of the atom bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they visited us. These survivors are called hibakusha, and they, whenever any country does nuclear tests, the hibakusha will go to those countries to tell people what their experience of the bomb had been. For instance, they came to France after Mururoa, and they came to India and Pakistan after we did our tests in '98.
Après donc les essais, j'ai filmé au Pakistan et en Inde. Et une troisième chose qui s'est présentée, c'était une visite des survivants de Hiroshima et Nagasaki en Inde. Ils sont venus, une petite délégation. Ils s'appellent les hibakusha. Et c'est leur habitude en fait de rendre visite à chaque pays qui a fait des essais nucléaires. Comme ils sont venus en France après Mururoa et ils sont venus en Inde après nos tests à nous.
When they saw that I had a camera and was filming their meetings in India, they asked me to come back to Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the commemoration of the atom bomb, and they invited Pakistanis also to that event.
Et quand ils ont vu que je filmais leur réunion en Inde, ils m'ont invité à me rendre au Japon au moment de la cérémonie de commémoration de Hiroshima et Nagasaki au Japon, et en même temps ils ont aussi invité des Pakistanais, donc on venait des deux côtés.
They not only paid our tickets, but they looked after us, and I was so I ended up filming in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But then, having done that, I wanted to understand why America dropped these bombs in the first place, because they're the only country that has dropped atom bombs on human beings.
Donc ils nous ont payé le voyage, on était bien reçus, mais après avoir filmé à Hiroshima et à Nagasaki, quand même je me suis posé la question, mais pourquoi les États-Unis a largué cette bombe atomique? J'avais besoin de comprendre, parce que c'est le seul pays en fait qui a lâché la bombe.
So at one point when I was invited to America to show my films in some colleges, I also was able to film in America about this issue.
Et donc quand j'ai eu l'occasion de me rendre aux États-Unis, j'ai montré ce film dans des facultés, dans des universités, et j'ai pu explorer un tout petit peu plus loin comment eux ils voyaient la question là-bas.
So the film ended up being filmed in 4 countries over 4 years. It was completed in 2002 and
donc le film, j'ai réalisé ce film pendant 4 ans dans 4 pays différents. Je l'ai terminé en 2002.
By this time, not by this time, right from 98, there was a Hindu right-wing party in power in India. And under their government, the film did not pass the necessary censor certificate requirement. So, in other words, the film was not allowed to be, legally not allowed to be shown.
Et depuis 98, le pouvoir en Inde, il y avait le parti de droite qui était au pouvoir, et donc le film n'a pas reçu l'autorisation d'être projeté, diffusé.
But we went to court and we won the case after 1 year. So in April 2003, it became legal to show the film.
Donc on est allé devant la justice et ils nous ont donné raison. Donc en avril 2003, on était légalement autorisé à montrer le film.
Much later, it won a national award in India. It won an award even in Pakistan, and it was even shown both on Indian TV after we had won a court case, and it was shown also on Pakistani TV. And there was a panel discussion that followed.
Et le film a gagné 2 prix, un prix national en Inde et un prix national au Pakistan aussi. Et il a été diffusé donc en Inde à la télévision nationale et aussi au Pakistan. La télévision pakistanaise l'a aussi montré avec un débat après le film.
Ordinarily, I would have told you some of this after the screening, but I might not be here for the Q&A tonight. But we will do a Q&A tomorrow night after you see, those of you who can make it tomorrow, the new film Jaivin Comrade, which is on the caste system.
Puisque je ne serai pas là pour le débat, un débat suivant cette projection, je vous ai raconté pas mal maintenant. Si vous êtes intéressé dans une séance questions-réponses, je serai là demain pour montrer mon dernier film, Jaivin Comrade. Si vous voulez discuter de ce film à ce moment-là, on peut.
The film is in 2 parts, but they'll run both the parts immediately after. There might be a few seconds gap between part 1 and part 2.
Oui, et il y a 2 parties pour ce film. Normalement, ça s'enchaîne. Peut-être est-ce qu'il y aura une toute petite intervalle entre les deux ce soir, je ne sais pas.
And also, at the end of the film, don't get up during the credits because there's an epilogue at the end.
Oui, surtout ne partez pas à la fin du film pendant les titres de fin, parce qu'il y a quand même un épilogue, il y a une fin après.
Merci.
Yeah. Okay. Very quickly and short. Anybody wants to start?
We just want to die now.
If there's anything you didn't understand or were not sure about, you can ask. Otherwise, if you understood everything, it's no problem. You didn't see it.
See it.
Yeah, well, let somebody else ask.
Well, maybe I can ask a first question.
Okay, well, yeah.
Well, the
Yeah,
emotion
well,
is, in a way,
okay.
it's too strong.
Yeah.
I think for now. How did you choose the people you met and interviewed for these films all over the countries? I mean, were there organizations or it was by coincidence sometimes? Or
Coincidence most of the time. Of course, I went to Pakistan with the peace movement, peace delegation from India. I went to Japan with the peace, invited by the peace movement in Japan. America, I went on my own, and I tried to get an interview with the aerospace, the Air Force, but they, as you saw, they didn't want to do an interview. So then I looked for the historians. Yeah, so more or less I just followed the logic of what I was doing at that moment.
So it was more your intuition and necessity.
Yeah, intuition and whatever I read. I read that book about Hiroshima called Hiroshima's Shadow, which was in which I learned about this exhibition in Smithsonian, which was censored. So then I followed that story.
Pardon, je me rends compte qu'on parle en anglais. Et j'espère que tout le monde sait mieux l'anglais que moi et que personne n'a besoin de traduction. Non? Et vous avez besoin de traduction? Non. Il n'y a pas de... Si, c'est vrai. Que Jill est pas là, notre experte traductrice. Donc j'ai demandé à... Donc je vais faire moins bien, moi je suis juste une amateur, mais j'ai demandé à Arnaud comment il avait choisi toutes ces personnes qu'il avait interviewées pour le film. Donc est-ce qu'il avait en quelque sorte travaillé à partir de réseaux, d'organisations déjà existantes, d'un front anti-nucléaire, et en fait non. Ça dépendait, il y avait des cas différents, mais donc il a surtout rencontré les gens au fur et à mesure de ses voyages et de ses recherches. Et un des points de repère de sa réflexion, c'était ce livre dont on a vu la couverture, donc Hiroshima Shadows, qu'il a lu au Japon.
Anyway, even if there are no questions, I actually came back because I wanted to say something.
Donc il est revenu pour vous dire quelque chose.
There's a question here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oui, j'ai une question. Je voudrais savoir si en Inde, vous animez des débats autour de vos films, et en particulier de celui-là, et quel est le retentissement d'un tel film dans les villes et dans les campagnes.
So do you organize debates thanks to around these films, and what are the effects of such a film?
This film is now more than 10 years old. We did do that in the early days for a few years, but I don't show this film so much now because I'm showing my new film now more.
Donc le film a déjà 10 ans, il n'a pas été beaucoup discuté, et au début, oui, voilà, merci, aidez-moi. Et maintenant il s'occupe surtout de son dernier film, donc Chalbin, comme on peut voir demain soir.
Which is the film that they show tomorrow, so I'm busy with that, but this film is still shown from time to time.
Mais donc il est quand même vu de temps en temps.
And it was shown on television in India finally after a lot of fight.
Donc il a été vu à la télévision en Inde après beaucoup de censure et de combats.
And DVDs of it are available in many places.
Et on peut en trouver le DVD dans beaucoup d'endroits.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say is that this film was made in 2002 when the right-wing BJP was in power.
Donc le film a été fait en 2002 quand le BJP était au pouvoir.
In 2004, the BJP lost the election. The Congress government, which is not meant to be right-wing Hindu fundamentalists, came to power.
Et donc en 2004, c'est un nouveau gouvernement, donc pas d'extrême droite ou de droite, qui est venu au pouvoir.
But nothing changed on the nuclear front. In fact, on the nuclear front, all the ruling parties are in agreement that they want to be a superpower. And in fact, the new Congress government made a deal with the United States of America to increase, you know that, anyway, you translate because otherwise...
Just to say that it's exactly the same in France.
Yeah. No, I'm coming to that, yeah.
Donc, il n'y a eu aucun changement dans les décisions concernant le pouvoir nucléaire. Tous les pouvoirs sont d'accord et ils font des accords, ils passent des accords avec les États-Unis.
Yeah, so they made a nuclear deal with the United States by which, you know that after India did nuclear tests in 1998, there was sanctions put on India and Pakistan because they broke they broke their promise and they did nuclear testing. So because of that, there were sanctions put. But when the Americans signed an agreement with India, the sanctions were lifted. Now we're allowed to buy uranium from anywhere. So we're buying it from Australia. We are in talks with many countries for supplies, and the plans to make more and more nuclear reactors are going ahead.
Donc en 99, il y a eu des sanctions contre l'Inde quand elle a fait des tests nucléaires, et puis ensuite, donc quand elle a passé ses accords avec les États-Unis, voilà, tout le monde s'est retiré du traité anti-prolifération, et au contraire, maintenant l'Inde peut acheter de l'uranium partout dans le monde, en Australie et partout, et ne cesse d'accroître son potentiel nucléaire.
And every nuclear reactor is a potential disaster in any case, for many reasons, not just because there's always a slight leakage that happens at the best of times, but many of these reactors in India are now being built on the coastline, which is sometimes on an earthquake place, like a tsunami can happen, like happened in Fukushima.
Je regrette d'avoir un train de retard. Donc l'Inde ne cesse de construire des centrales nucléaires, il les construit maintenant sur les côtes, et donc il y a des fuites, enfin oui, non seulement il y a des fuites de toute façon dans les centrales, lesquelles c'est ça, c'est des fuites, et donc elle construit des centrales sur les côtes, donc maritimes, mais aussi sur des lignes de failles tectoniques, donc comme à Fukushima.
And the two big reactors that are being built, one is by the Russians in Kudankulam in the south of India, and one is near Bombay in Maharashtra, which is being built by the French, by the Areva Corporation, and they're building the world's biggest nuclear plant on the tsunami fault line, earthquake fault line.
So we are like the Korean little girls, we apologize, but it's not useful. Donc il y a deux énormes centrales nucléaires principales en Inde. Donc, alors je ne sais pas les noms des villes, donc dans le sud et près de Bombay. Et donc évidemment, elles présentent un risque majeur dans les deux cas. Donc la première construite par les Russes et la seconde par les Français, par Areva.
Yeah, and there's a big movement against Areva going on right now, mainly led by the fisher people.
Donc un grand mouvement de protestation contre Areva mené par les pêcheurs.
And so also in the south of India, it's the fishing community that is fighting against a nuclear plant. So they are in the vanguard of the movement against nuclear energy.
Et donc dans le sud aussi, le mouvement est mené par les pêcheurs, le mouvement anti-nucléaire.
And nuclear energy is a myth in the sense, especially in a country like India, after 60 years of nuclear program, we make only 2.5% from nuclear.
Donc avec toute cette industrie nucléaire, l'énergie ne sert quand même qu'à 2,5% de la production électrique. Et donc l'énergie nucléaire, enfin le pouvoir nucléaire est un pur mythe.
After spending huge amount of money and with huge dangers, but even in a short time that we had wind power, we're already making 5% from that.
Et donc en revanche, après juste une brève période d'installation, la force éolienne produit déjà 5% de l'énergie nécessaire.
So it's completely wrong to think that nuclear energy is the way to go forward because it's the most expensive form of energy today in the world.
Donc l'énergie nucléaire, c'est la forme d'énergie la plus coûteuse et la moins productive en fait.
So the real reason why countries like India go for the nuclear option is because it is a dual technology, because they can get the plutonium to make weapons.
Donc la seule raison en réalité de maintenir et de faire croître cette énergie, c'est parce qu'elle est duelle, donc produire de l'énergie, mais surtout produire des armes.
And apart from all the other dangers, there's the danger of the fact that if you have so many reactors, it's very hard to keep it very safe because somewhere someone can get hold of that material. And in this day and age, when there's all kinds of terror in the world, it's crazy to think of what can happen if somebody gets hold of that material.
Donc évidemment, il y a une sorte de production d'arsenal d'armes potentielles et à un moment où les pôles terroristes se multiplient, évidemment c'est fou de penser que voilà, ces armes vont rester inemployées, enfin en tout cas potentiellement elles peuvent l'être facilement. Voilà, avez-vous des questions sur notre avenir? Comment? So Hanan, what can we do?
Well, look, I only think that we are not doing enough, but the people in India who are affected are fighting against the nuclear powers. And I think that people in France have to fight against your own power, because there's no use us worrying about some other country or you worrying about another country. You have it right home. So at home you can build a stronger anti-nuclear movement. The sad fact of all this is that there was a very strong anti-nuclear movement until the point when the Soviet Union collapsed. Until the point when the West thought that, oh, there might be a nuclear war and the bomb might fall on us. They used to come out in hundreds of thousands of people to protest. But when the Cold War ended and Soviet Union was defeated, it became safe for people. Think that it became safe. So you don't have to worry about nuclear bomb falling on you anymore. But that's a wrong way of thinking, I think.
Donc chacun doit se battre là où il est, comme nous en France évidemment. Et donc l'erreur, c'est de croire que, donc après la fin de la guerre froide et le démantèlement, la disparition de l'URSS, les mouvements anti-nucléaires qui étaient assez puissants auparavant, eux aussi se sont évaporés, en partie en croyant que désormais le monde était sûr, ce qui est une erreur d'analyse politique.
Could you talk a bit more about the relationship between nuclear energy and nuclear arms?
I just did, because if you have nuclear energy, you create the raw material for nuclear weapons. You get the plutonium, because nobody will sell you plutonium, but if you make it in your own reactors, you can hide it and make it. Even though there are meant to be international safeguards, there are all kinds of regulations about in power plants where to make sure that product doesn't get used in weapons, but it's quite easy to do. I mean, and governments do that. States do that.
Donc, il n'y a aucune réelle.
That is what they're worried about in Iran. They keep talking about Iran's going to make a bomb. So it's very easy to do when you have nuclear energy.
Donc il n'y a pas de réelle différence techniquement entre l'énergie nucléaire civile et militaire. Du moment qu'on produit du plutonium, de toute façon, on peut fabriquer des armes. Et donc même la garantie d'État donc de surveiller cette production n'est pas suffisante. On a d'autres questions?
I think 1 minute. Okay, last question. Anybody has that? Yeah.
The lady here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, c'est pas une question sur le sujet, c'est plus une question sur comment vous travaillez. Alors, j'ai pas été au début de vos films, peut-être vous en avez parlé auparavant, mais il y a quand même beaucoup de noms génériques et j'aurais voulu savoir, j'imagine que vous n'êtes pas seul à apporter tout ce travail. Hein. Donc la preuve c'est qu'il y a des gens en générique. Donc comment vous travaillez en collectif? Est-ce que, je sais pas.
So how do you make the film, organize the shooting? There are many names on the credits, and so what is your way to work with other people? Is it collective or?
Many names, but very few on the payroll.
Yes, they're the same.
They're friends who helped or sympathizers. Few people on the payroll, not many, because these films are all made without funding.
Voilà. Donc beaucoup de gens génériques, mais très peu sur les feuilles de paie.
Notre voix anti-nucléaire.
Oui.
So has the Indian, the Japanese has the Indian. Could the Indian come and help the French against the nuclear power?
Yeah, I think so. I think that actually I think that it would be wonderful if there could be a committee started in France against the Areva plant in India to show that it will not just be an anti-nuclear movement, it will be anti-colonization, it will be anti-everything. So I think that it would be wonderful, and there will be people in India to join hands if people here would start something like that, would create an, I don't know if Areva makes any other products. If they do, then it's easy, because then you can just boycott that product and make it very powerful.
Donc effectivement, il faut créer un comité de lutte contre Areva et son programme. Et donc ce ne serait pas seulement une action anti-nucléaire, mais aussi une action anticolonialiste et anti-impérialiste. Et donc si Areva vend d'autres produits, il faut boycotter ces produits immédiatement. Merci. Voilà. On a de quoi faire. Thank you for your film and your advice. Merci beaucoup.
Is very useful for a film like this, where it will shake people up in terms of their ideas about these issues. So we keep fighting for that, and sometimes we succeed to get on national TV.
Merci. Je crois qu'on doit quitter la salle, donc on va remercier beaucoup Anand et Christophe pour votre
Bienvenue à cette séance donc, consacrée au travail d'Anand Patwardhan. Merci beaucoup de venir un dimanche soir tard pour un long film sur des sujets complexes. Voilà, ça dit bien la motivation des spectateurs du cinéma du réel. Donc on explore grâce à Anand Patwardhan les lignes de tension contemporaines les plus violentes qui règnent en Inde, mais aussi au-delà de l'Inde, en Asie du Sud-Est. Et là, avec War and Peace, donc un film réalisé par Anand en 2002, on a peut-être son film qui est le plus, en quelque sorte...
Why I'm as much a projectionist as I am a filmmaker. Apart from being a lawyer, you have to go to court all the time. But I spend a lot of time showing these films because there is no ready-made mechanism in India to show these films. On the net is okay, but on the net is a good idea in the future. But as yet in India, very few people have computers. I mean, only the elite have computers. So internet access and all that for long format films. I mean, what you find on YouTube is usually very short films. So some of my short films I've already put on YouTube.
But it's important for the young generation.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to eventually I will have free streaming on my website so that people can watch the films, and I might put a PayPal button for those who want to contribute if they feel like it. But it's not necessary to contribute to watch it. So that's my future. One of the future projects is to make the films accessible.
But I've heard the films have been screened all over India, and that not a day goes by almost without the films being screened all over India.
Yeah.
And in fact, Jaibin Comrade's premiere was in Bombay in the...
I say, you're right, that they are shown every day somewhere. There are already hundreds, if not thousands of DVDs that people have. And I spend a lot of in a week I would say at least 2 or 3 screenings happen. Two screenings on an average, which are public screenings. And we have our own projector. Even when I was shooting 16mm, we had our own 16mm projector, and we would carry our big reels and set them up and show them. And now that it's video, it's easier. And we just put up big bed sheets as a screen and show the films anywhere, wherever there's electricity. But India's population is huge. I would say that I don't think that I've reached even 0.01% of the population, even doing so many screenings all the time. So really, if you want to make a political difference, it has to be on TV. And that's why we've been fighting tooth and nail to get the film shown on TV. I mean, the TV experience of watching is different from, obviously, when we show it and we are there and we have discussions afterwards. All that can't happen on TV. It's just a passive medium. But even a passive medium...
I was just saying that the films, as far as I have known from knowing your work for many years, that the films are constantly shown in India and constantly shown in kind of, not in cinemas, in kind of public spaces as well. So Jaibim Comrade, for instance, was shown in Ramabai, am I pronouncing?
Colony, yeah.
The Ramabai colony, from where the whole story comes out of that place. And the premiere of the film was there, shown there, and there was 2,000, 3,000 people standing and watching it, which puts Western audiences to shame if they consider such an incredible, detailed masterpiece, 3 hours to be such a long film that they get exhausted by or something. I mean, the people are standing and watching this film, and actually what's incredible about the film, which people will see, is that you see people watching events. I'd actually say that's a continuous thread in Anand's work, is watching people watching, which gives also another layer to the subject.
Yeah, it's true, especially, I mean, various of my films have been used widely within quotation marks.
Explicitement internationaliste, parce que personnellement je pense que les conflits locaux que nous décrivent ces autres films voilà, peuvent servir souvent de modèle explicatif aussi ou de grille de lecture pour d'autres situations. C'est très facilement transposable là, pour ce qui concerne par exemple le fanatisme ou les problèmes de patriarchie, etc. Ici, voilà, le monde est exploré vraiment est parcouru de manière géopolitique, explicitement. Et donc Anand a beaucoup travaillé sur ce film pendant 4 ans, et je lui laisse donc le soin de nous le présenter, voilà, de sa manière si claire, visuelle. Merci beaucoup Anand.
So this film was started because in May 1998, India did nuclear tests.
Ce film a commencé parce qu'en mai 1998, l'Inde a commencé à faire des tests.
I don't know